In this unit we're going to take a look at the text tool in Revit. I'm going to show you how to place some text, how to use leaders with text, how to format your text, how to create new text styles, and also why I think you should minimize the use of the text tool, and I'll explain that later towards the end of the unit. So just to kick off, we're just going to place some simple text onto our view. Now you can use the text tool in any views, plans, sections, elevations. You can put text directly onto your sheets. So I'm just going to work with this simple plan view to start with. So to use the text tool, we need to go to the annotate menu. So up on the ribbon, annotate. And we've got a panel there for text, and at the top there, simple text button, press text. Now the ribbon changes to give you all the tools you need to work with your text, and say just a little bit later in the unit I'll show you the use of the leaders and your formatting, but for now let's just place a piece of text into our view. So the cursor changes to have a little A next to it to show you in text mode. Simply click where you want the text to start and start typing away. So an example, and if you hit the return you get a new line of some text. Click anywhere outside of the text box to complete it. The text is still selected, you can see the grips on there. So I'm just going to hit modify or escape on the keyboard to cancel out of the text command. So there is our block of text. So if I select it again now, you can see the border around it. I can just simply hover over the border, click and hold the left mouse button, drag that text box where I need it to be. I can also use one of the grips at the side to compress it or expand this the size of the text box boundary, and you can see it will automatically wrap the words to fit the width of the box. So at its most basic level, that is how you use the text tool. Say annotate menu, text, click in the drawing, start typing away, text here, cancel out of the command, shift it exactly to where you need it to be, adjust the width accordingly. Once you've placed some text into your view, you can perform some basic formatting to it. So here's my example here. Go ahead and select the text box. The ribbon changes accordingly, and here you will see our formatting commands. So up here we've got basic justification, left, center or right. At the moment it's on a line left. Hit center, you can see the text has all now been centered on the box. Hit right and it aligns neatly to the right hand side. If I go ahead and click inside the box itself and drag the cursor to highlight some specific text, so let's take that word there, example, I now have access to these further formatting controls. Really quite simple. It certainly isn't sort of Microsoft Word or anything like that, but basic formatting. You can make the word bold. Let's take some others down here. Next line. Make it italic. Click it again to turn that off, or we can underline. Quite often when you're working with text in Revit, you'll want to associate a leader to it. That is, you'll want your piece of text and then an arrow pointing to a specific item or an element. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So let's go back to placing text. So remember, annotate menu, text on the text panel, hit text. Now, if you have a look up on the ribbon, we've got some different options here for placing text with or without leaders. So if we go back to that top left hand corner, that will just place a piece of text with no leader, as we just saw in the previous part of the unit. If you want a simple straight leader, you select that top right hand option there. So click once for the start where you want the arrowhead to be, and click a second time, that's where you're going to place your text. I'll just put some random letters in there now just to give you an idea how that works. Click anywhere else and finally escape or modify to cancel out. So there's your piece of text with a simple straight leader. Let's look at the other options. Back to text. A cranked leader here. So again, the first click is where the arrow starts. So let's say we were wanting to put a note against this particular door. Could click a start point there. The second click is where the crank or the elbow takes place. Now the straight part of the leader, and now another click for where you want your text note to be. Again, just some random text to give you an idea. And another click, place the text, modify to cancel out. Back again, text, and the final option, this arc or curved leader. So let's select that one. Click a start point for the arrowhead, and now you can see you get a nice curved leader. Click random gibberish text as an example, and there is our text with curved leader. All of these have grips on, so you can retrospectively adjust the position or the shape of the leader, where it springs from. In this case, the radius of the arc. Go back to this one. There's a grip on the elbow there, or the crank, so you can adjust that accordingly. If you've created a piece of text without a leader, again, forgive the random gibberish, just so we've got something in there to work with. So there is our piece of text, no leader at the moment. If we go ahead and select that text block, you can see we've got the same options there, but with a little green plus, so it's allowing us to add leaders now retrospectively. So you can add it on either side, and you can add a straight one or a curved one. So simply hit that one there, and it adds a leader to it. We can also go and add multiple leaders, so we can add one to the other side as well. Once you've got a leader attached to your text, you can see there's a minus button there as well, so we can actually take off leaders that we've added, and it takes them off in reverse order to the way they were added on. So this was the last one we added on the right hand side, so if I go ahead, click that, it takes it off. And for each side, left and right of your text blocks, you've got these buttons here, these choices. Do you want the leader to spring from the top of the text box, the middle, or the bottom? And you can toggle that separately for each side. So you can see at the left, at the moment, this leader is springing from the top. If I work my way down, if you just keep an eye on the actual leader in the text blocks, you can see now it's springing from the center and then the bottom. If I go ahead and add a leader to the right hand side, again, we've got independent control for that one, where it springs from. When you first install Revit, it comes with a default template supplied by Autodesk. Now that template will contain some standard text styles to get you started, but invariably you'll want to create your own text styles for various uses. Now the best thing to do is to embed those or put those into your own Office template. So pretty soon after getting Revit, you're going to create your own Office template. It'll have a .rte file extension, and in there you can start putting the components, the system families, the styles of objects that you use on a regular basis, and that will include text styles. So I'm going to show you now how to create a new text style. So if we just take this piece of text we've already put in, if I select it, it is a system family, and there is the type. This type is called text 3.5mm Arial. So there's a description in there to tell you sort of the size and the font. So we can swap that out to another one. Say these are the standard text styles that come in the default template. So let's now create a completely new text style. So select it, edit type, duplicate so we don't overwrite or upset the existing ones we've got. So I'm just going to change the name to 9mm Arial. We can have a look at the effect of changing the font later on, but for now we'll just go with that name. Hit OK. Now let's quickly go down these type parameters. So color, let's just swap that out to a red for now. We've got the line weight, Now the background, you've got a choice between opaque and transparent. Now that is for when this text appears over the top of model elements. Do you want it to be more legible by having this background opaque so it masks out the building elements behind, or do you need it to be completely transparent? It will vary from case to case depending on your use. So you can see there that is still opaque, so if I move my cursor away, it makes it a lot more legible when it goes over the top of building elements, but there may be scenarios where you actually need that to be transparent. So let's just go back, continue editing the type. Do you want a border to be shown around it? Do you want an offset? Or what distance do you need that offset to be between where the leader starts and the border of the text? You've even got a choice of arrowhead type. You can see there's a number of different choices. You might have an office style, do your arrows basically have like a filled circle at the end and so forth, so choose that there. Then we get down to the parameters which control the text, so the font, whole variety here. Let's just choose something at random. Now we said we're going to make this 9mm, so going to stick 9mm in there, and you can pre-configure those basic formatting options, whether you want it bold, italic or underlined, by ticking the tick boxes on there. So let's go with that new font, a new size, hit OK. Not the most fetching of fonts in my opinion, but you get the idea. You can swap that out to whatever you need it to be. There's the colour. There's the size. Now remember that size, in this case 9mm, is the actual printed size. The annotation elements such as text are independent of the view scale, so that is 9mm high when printed out. Doesn't matter if I change this view to 1:500. That is still 9mm when it's printed out. It's just the model has got a lot smaller to reflect that new scale of 1:500. So that's how you create your new text styles. I've mentioned a few times in the course so far about annotation and detail items being view specific. It's such an important concept. We'll just cover it again very quickly again here. Text is an example of an annotation item, so it is view specific. And what I mean by that is it only exists in the view in which you create it. So we've been working in this level 0 floor plan. We created our text element here in this view, so it only exists there. So if I right click, duplicate this view, I get a copy of the view. I'm basically looking down into the same model as the first one, but I don't see that piece of text. It didn't come across because I just did a simple duplication. If I go back to my level 0 floor plan, there is the piece of text. Let's now right click, duplicate with detailing, and when I do this, it's going to create a new view looking down again at the same model. However, it's going to create a copy of that text that we're seeing here and place that copy in the same place in the new view. So it's not exactly the same text element you're looking at in the new view, it's just a clone or a copy of it. So let's do that now. Duplicate with detailing. We've switched to the new view, copy to. There is a copy of that original text, and we can tell it's a copy because we can move it and edit it independently. So let's move that down there, and let's also take out some of the text. We'll just change it with some random letters, cancel out of that, go back to the original level 0 floor plan, and you can see it has no effect on the original text element. So when we duplicated with detailing, it started off by creating an exact copy of that in the same place in the new view, but we can then go on and manipulate that and edit it as we need to. As this unit comes to a close, I just want to take the opportunity to suggest to you that you should keep the use of text to an absolute minimum in Revit, and I'm just going to explain why. If this was an AutoCAD file, an AutoCAD project that we were working on, so we would draft it out using AutoCAD lines, our external walls, we put our hatch patterns in, then we don't have any choice really but to use the text tool to describe our various elements. So we would put door and window numbers on. We might put a reference to explain what wall type it is. That's how you would work in AutoCAD or any other sort of 2D CAD package. With Revit being a BIM platform, ideally we want to contain as much product and element data within the actual building elements themselves. That gives us the most flexibility in terms of scheduling. It also alleviates as far as possible the issue of incorrect data, of items and specifications changing and the notes not being updated. Now let me give you a little example of how that actually works in practice. Now with this door here, on the right hand side I have got a simple text note, and I've called that ED01. Let's call that external door 1. So a door reference. So I've just put this text note on there next to the door to tell somebody that that is ED01. On the left hand side I've actually got a door tag. Now I will be covering tags at the end of this module, and I'll show you exactly how tags work, but you can think of a tag as almost like a little viewport that has the ability to pull data automatically out of an element. So if I go ahead and select this door and we look at the properties for the door element itself, we can see there's an instance parameter called mark. That's what they call the door number, the door mark, and the value is ED01. I've already typed that in and put it in there. So the door reference is actually a parameter and a value that's stored against the door object. You then can use a door tag to automatically pull that piece of information, that value against that parameter, and display it next to the element. Now that is infinitely more beneficial and more powerful than you manually placing a piece of text and typing that reference in. If the door numbers or the door marks are contained within the objects, we can then create a door schedule of all the doors in the project and have those door marks listed automatically. If we don't embed or include this information at the element or object level, there's no way of scheduling it. So you can imagine here, or you can appreciate that this, what I call dumb text here, has no relation to this door in reality. It's just a piece of text that happens to be placed close to this door. That's a world apart from this door tag, which does have a direct relationship with this specific object, and it's pulling a specific value out of that object from the information contained within there in the instance parameters and displaying it accordingly. So we could go into the object now and actually say, actually this is ED77. It's OK. The door tag updates accordingly. Now we can also tag doors in different views, sections, elevations. So anywhere in your project where you can see that door and it's got a tag, that value would update automatically as soon as we changed it in here. You can see this hasn't updated, the plain text, and there's no way it can. Say it's not related. So you can imagine with that philosophy, if you go around your project putting loads of pieces of text in that have no direct relationship with the elements that they're referencing, and you're just typing up your notes, so describing a wall build-up, for example, or door or window references, or any other sort of pertinent project information, if you make changes to that specification or those elements, you're going to have to manually go around all your drawings and all your views and update those accordingly, and that's where errors creep in, where they become out of sync and you forget to update certain bits of information. If you create tags and you tag all your elements, and we'll look at that later in detail when we get onto the unit specifically on tags, we can get Revit to automatically display on each view what data we need out of each object, and we can get either the instance parameters, or we can actually drill down and get type parameter information, so we can create custom tags to display whatever values we want out of these objects. So with that in mind, I would strongly suggest that you really minimize the use of this 2D, what I call dumb text, because it's not intelligent in any way. It doesn't relate to the building model, just to cut down on potential conflicts of information and errors that might creep in when that coordination starts to break down.
And that completes this unit. To get the most out of this training material, please take the complete course online at bimscape.com. Here you will find a complete learning management system that allows you to work through the course at your own pace. Comprehensive written tutorials provide additional information to that found in the training videos. Mark each unit as complete as you finish it and move on to the next. At any point you can return to any of the units you have previously completed to go over the material again. If you'd like to take this course online, please visit www.bimscape.com/Revit for details.